On today's Apple Daily, Woz Signed Apple 1 up for auction starting at $50,000. Front Page Tech talks iPhone SE Plus, don't hold your breath. And iPhone 13 Periscope cameras could beat the depth limit.
For the latest Apple news, rumors, and leaks, every weekday at 12 UTC, join us in the iCave.
And if you want any of that stuff that Siri's just mentioned, all you need to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a thing, and you can join my notification squad like nobody did yesterday that made me feel all sad inside. But first, an apology. In yesterday's video, I said that nobody cared about Apple News Plus. I was wrong. This one guy called Lee Carter does. So, don't tell me I never admit when I'm wrong. Someone likes Apple News Plus. Thanks, Lee. Woz Signed Apple 1 up for auction. The Apple 1 was Apple's first ever computer system. Now, we're not talking about Apple's identically named services bundle at this point. We are talking about Apple 1, the original Apple computer. 200 were made originally, about 175 were sold, and pretty much Steve Wozniak made these by hand, hand-soldered, hand-built these computers, the very first Apple computers. Now, this one that's coming up for auction includes the logic board, cassette interface, operations manuals, power supply, Datanetics keyboard, a 1976 Sanyo monitor, and a cassette player. Oh, and it still runs, because just like most Apple devices, it lasts way longer than you'd expect. Oh, and this one is signed by Steve Wozniak as well, so that's nice. In recent years, Apple I computers have fetched nearly $500,000 at auction. This one is starting off at $50,000, so expect the money to go up pretty quickly. The Apple I and Apple II were precursors of the original 1984 Macintosh, though the Apple II was sold in different iterations from 1977 all the way through to 1993. Front Page Tech talks about iPhone SE Plus. So John Prosser put out a video today, and according to John and Ming-Chi Kuo, Apple is planning an iPhone SE Plus in 2021, but not early in the year as some of the rumours have speculated before, but waiting until the September-October time around when the iPhones are normally released. This will be similar in its appearance to the SE, but in the Plus size, most likely with the dual camera, and looking a lot like the 8 Plus looked back in the day. My assumption is that that will also take the A13 chip, but sit alongside the current SE, and maybe the following year they will both get an update. The best part of this for me, though, is that it frees up more space for other stuff that we've been expecting at the March event that we also expect to happen. There's a lot of expectation in this video, like the 16-inch MacBook Pro, iMac, AirPods Studio headphones, AirTags. Of course, this is assuming they don't just appear before Christmas. One other thing that he detailed in this video was the iPhone 12 Pro's cost of parts. Details have leaked out about how much each individual part for the iPhone 12 Pro costs, with the LED around $70 from Samsung, the 5G modem, the most expensive part of the phone, at $90 just for that one chip, which makes sense now why Apple is also looking to their Intel modem business that they bought so that they can hopefully make their own modems. The A14 Bionic, the very heart of the phone, is just $40. RAM costs $12.80, and that's for the 6GB in the 12 Pro. Flash memory, 1960, that would be 128 gigs presumably. The camera sensors come in at just $7.50, and the total for the whole phone, including all of the parts, chassis, etc., is just over $400, $406. But of course, this doesn't include the R&D spending, the packaging, development, retail costs, all that kind of thing. So yes, there is a fairly big markup on these things, but you've also got the taxes to take into account, all that kind of things, employees. Sometimes people like to be paid for stuff. And coming on to future iPhones. iPhone 13 looks like it may well be having a Periscope-based camera built in. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean we're going to have a camera popping out the top like some of the weird Android phones? No, it does not. We will still most likely have our notch, that notch that we love so much. I kid, very few people I think actually love the notch. I don't honestly care that much, and everyone keeps talking about making it smaller. I don't think they're going to make it smaller until they can get rid of it completely, but I'm also not in a rush for that. Back to these Periscope cameras for iPhones. Why are they awesome? So this is a camera where the barrel of the lens is actually pointed either upwards through the body of the phone or across through the body of the phone, but essentially on one of the longer axes of the phone rather than being pushed straight out towards the person you're taking a photo of. How does that work? What happens here is there is a mirror at the top of the lens stack, basically brings the light into the camera and down through the lens stack to the sensor. Why is this an advantage? Because it means you can spread your lenses out much further, and that is how you get much better zoom on your photos. And it's thought that this could be a system which would allow up to 10x optical zoom. Now, optical zoom is very different from digital zoom. Digital zoom is basically you are cropping and making more pixels out of the pixels you have left, whereas optical zoom is you are literally bending the light so that you are taking your light from a much smaller area. Also, with a longer and kind of more zoomed lens, you will also get a lot more kind of depth of focus, so anything that's outside of the plane will get actual bokeh, not the artificial bokeh that's added by Apple's computational photography. So the big advantage of this is it means that the phone doesn't have to be any bigger, and this is the kind of technology that might be brought over to Apple's laptops, their notebook computers, because right now the notebooks have a very, very thin chassis at the top, which doesn't give them much space to put cameras in there. However, there might be a way that they could actually mount a camera system upright within the back, but they might be able to do that in order to give a much better camera system in a still very thin lid. The other possible advantage is that with the iPhones you might be able to almost eliminate the camera bump, because the camera bump is there to give enough depth for the lenses to sit and get the shots that they need. But if you can move those lenses down, you might not need a camera bump anymore. We could find that in future iPhones become flat backed and fronted again. How awesome would that be? Okay, as I say, we have no brand new members to the notification squad today, but if you want a shout out at this point in the video, which is when I would be shouting out my new members, all you need to do, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know down in the comments that you've done those things, along with ringing the bell, so that I can give you a shout out at the end of the next video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.